Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Elite Raceway after a well-earned break for everybody, drivers, admins. Uh, we are back and fired up for season six, and looks like the season has already welcomed a few drivers with rain. I know a few of them aren't excited about that. I definitely am. Let's see, we already have a few drivers out on the track, but anyways, yes, Saturday we did have our Tier 1 group open up the race week, commentated by our chief admin. This is J-Dog. And race was live streamed, so make sure to give that stream a view and a thumbs up. Would be perfect to see and see the appreciation. But yeah, today we have our Tier 2 group taking the stage for the preseason race here at the iconic Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. It is I, your owner and commentator for today, La Rodri. Looking forward to seeing these guys again onto the track. And we do have possibly three more drivers joining in, depending on if they message me on time. So I will be keeping an eye on the Discord chat in case anybody's messaging me. But um, but yeah, as I mentioned, here in Austin, Texas, 5.5 kilometer beast of a track, features 20 corners, 11 to the left, uh, 9 right-handers, 11 left-handers, a 41 meter of elevation changes. So that we definitely see in the first corner that rise up into the hill, uh, where we will be seeing a bit of chaos as we saw in the real life race. But yeah, we already have a few drivers already on their outlap. We have the two Red Bulls of Vroom and Cowboys for Life. Uh, Looks like Cowboys for Life is going to be our first driver to be starting off his lap. And as I mentioned, rain. We did have a dry qualifying session in Tier 1, a wet race. Not exactly sure. I think our weatherman Guardians on the track did mention it is going to be wet, so I'm assuming he meant both qualifying and the race. So as we already know, due to the rain, there's going to be no DRS activations. There are two DRS zones on this track. And Cowboys for Life going through the S's. Definitely a tricky part of the track, I believe. You definitely have to keep the car stable. And track limits are a bit of a pain on this track. We have seen multiple times, especially in Tier 1 on Saturday, quite a number of drivers invalidating in that first sector due to the track limits. But as for the grid, as I mentioned, we are very excited to see these guys back. We do have two reserves today. If I'm not mistaken, that is a Tazzle in the Ferrari, and we do have one more joining in soon that is going to be highest low. Believe I placed him in the Mercedes team, if I'm not mistaken. But we also have a couple of new drivers joining in today as well for their debut. A few full-timers. We do have the Mercedes of Exist joining in, and we also have, I believe it was one more. Ah, there we go. It was the Kick Sauber of Bozo TM. Very creative with the names. Uh, so yes, these two new drivers showing up today for their first race with the league. Best of luck to those two. Hopefully they have fun, and hopefully they're able to finish the race. Cowboys for Life crossing the line at 147.2. We do have a couple of drivers right behind them as well. I believe that is, looks like that was Kyle starting up his lap. So we'll keep an eye on Kyle at the moment. We did have quite a number of drivers who I think we should be keeping an eye on for this season. On board with Kyle, who was runner-up last season. Lost by a few points, but honestly had a really good season. Missed a couple races, so hopefully this year or this season he could be a bit more consistent and possibly go for that championship win. Has been up in the contenders, I think, these past couple of seasons, so I think it's bound to happen for this guy. But we also have quite a few others too. Mahazne in the Haas this season, as well as his brother, who I believe might have overslept And speaking of his brother, high RPM messaging in the tier 2 chat saying saying that he's up. So let me see if I can get him into the session. So he does have a reputation of sleeping in. Uh, has missed about 2 races. Alrighty, so high RPM, the two Mahasna brothers on the track today. High RPM joining in soon. But as I was saying, Mahasna and high RPM, both of them, along with Kyle, the three of them were in the top 5 of the standings last season. So definitely good to keep an eye on them too. And Kyle, as I mentioned, putting in a 144.1. And right behind him, I was just about to mention this as well. Buddha, YSL Buddha, who was a late season arrival on the last season, definitely marked his territory in the front. He did win on his debut, so I am looking forward to seeing him on how he does now, having started the season from the beginning. So yeah, honestly, I do think he will be fighting in the front, but looks like it has dried up, and we will be having a DRS activated for the qualifying now. And I'm just keeping an eye on the Discord chat just in case high RPM needs another invite, as well as highest low. And if that, then I think we'll be having 19 drivers on the grid. I believe Snacks may have overslept as well. I do have to say, I do appreciate lots of these drivers who are on European time. So they did have the daylight savings, if I'm not mistaken, last Sunday, or well, Saturday night, Sunday morning. So they are racing an hour earlier, so they did have to adjust their time according to us, and we do appreciate them showing up, and especially on time. But it looks like High RPM is able to join into the session. His brother Mahasne about to cross the line, going into the final corner. Enough battery, puts in a 142.6. So really good time for Mahasne. Does look like a few drivers are going to be switching over to the slicks, and one of them being Hulkenrule, who I think is going to have to start changing his name, considering he's no longer in the Aston Martin this season. But it looks like we did have the Haas of Eingel crossing the line, puts himself in 7th of 146.8. And as I mentioned, the drivers switching over to the slicks, a lot of them going into the soft tires now. We'll see who's going to be the first driver to be onto the track. And high RPM selecting his car, so luckily no issue there. We do know how EA tends to be. And keeping an eye on Kai, I do wonder if he's actually trying to set a new lap. Has definitely improved, puts in a purple second sector. However, of course, the track is dry now. And I have to say, Kyle is probably ecstatic this season that he's in the Ferrari. So he's a big Leclerc fan. So hopefully he has his Ferrari shirt on. And, oh, looks like I'm going to be commentators cursing him. So going a little bit wide right there, but most likely that's not going to affect his time. Puts in a 140.2. Let's see, anybody out on the track with soft tires? Yep, we do have Cowboys for Life in the Red Bull, Honeyburger as well, along with a few other drivers. And I just want to make sure Highest Low is able to join into the session. And, and it looks like he's on his way home, driving as fast as legally possible, as he mentions on the Tier 2 chat. So just make sure you keep it safe, yeah? Alrighty, and I will say I am tremendously surprised by Wilson Hues putting himself in fourth at the moment. Of course, it was a what qualifying session, a few of them still trying to adjust, but Wilson Hues, yeah, definitely believe last season only once was he able to finish in the top 10. So it definitely shows that a few drivers have been putting some practice, putting in some improvement for the new season. Let's see, we do have the Red Bull of Cowboys for Life going through the S's in Sector 1, inspired by the amazing track in Silverstone. Ooh, going a little bit wide right there, but still improving. Of course, it is dry now, and looks like we do have a yellow flags. However, that might be the McLaren of, seems like high RPM or Honeyburger trying to get out the way of the drivers behind. So letting them get past. And I will say Pete Money, who actually sounds like a new driver, is actually a returning driver, was known as Moron 1 last season. Looks like he decided to change his name. I kind of like the new name, P Money. Curious to know what that stands for, because I can honestly think of 100 things. But let's see, Cowboys for Life finishing up here in Sector 3. We do have Mahazne holding second at the moment on his outlap, so we'll take a look at him afterwards once he's able to cross the line. But Cowboys for Life putting in a 137.1. Do have a couple of others finishing as well. A Tazzle with a 135.1. I actually do want to take a quick look at the Tier 2 qualifying last season. To see who put the pole position. So last season we did have Kyle who actually put in the pole position. Looking back at the results, we've had a few races back then. Let's see. Actually, no, I take that back. It was actually Oh Mama Shan who took in the pole position last season in COTA on the same track with a 132.5. Kyle, who actually was in the first row as well and second, qualified a 132.5, only a tenth, sorry, actually 1,000th away from Oh Mama Shan. So, as we were looking at Oh Mama Shan, unfortunately invalidating, I'm commentators cursing him. And actually, no, it was 100th away from Oh Mama Shan. So, two Frenchmen holding up the front. Curious to see if they're able to do it again. However, we do have, as we saw, a couple of contenders to really give them a battle. One of them here is Mahazne. Mahazne put in, oh, and cuts the corner just a little bit, and unfortunately invalidating, having a little bit of a spin right there, deciding to turn the car into a lawnmower. Has to get that grass out. Alrighty, so Mahazne unfortunately not able to put in a better lap there. So we do have his teammate here finishing up his lap. And unfortunately doing the same as Mahazne just in the final corner. Looks like Angel was going to improve, unfortunately not able to put in that lap. But looks like we do have Kyle who has retired from the session. Looks like he's going to settle with that 10th start, that 10th place start right there. And we do have the return of Untitled. I'm not sure if many have been watching since a couple seasons ago. I think he was a full-time driver 2 seasons ago, if I'm not mistaken. So really nice to see him back onto the track and hopefully able to participate more often and get those points. He was a really good driver. I think I faced him a bit. And looks like Kyle is actually complaining about a bit of a EA issue, saying he's trying to go onto the slick tires. However, EA is putting him back on the intermediates, so not exactly sure what's happening there. We do have Oliver, who just crossed the line, puts in a 1:35.2, puts himself in 5th. And we do have Wilson West, who's actually qualifying on the medium tires, up 3/10 on his time. And Oliver Monster's teammate, Bozo, crossing the line as well, puts in a 1:34.8, puts himself in 3rd. So that pushes his teammate down. But keeping an eye on Wilson West, who is, as I mentioned, qualifying on the medium tires. Looks like those mediums are very comfortable for this guy. So he's actually up 6/10, so that could actually put him up quite a few positions there. Has to make sure he doesn't validate on these final corners. Does well, puts the throttle in, and puts in a 1:34.2. Pushes himself into 2nd. We do have still quite a number of drivers who have yet to really put in a lap. Keeping an eye on Omama Wembanyama, who's currently holding 2nd row in 3rd. And YSL Buddha crossing the line, puts in a 1:33.2. So he does hold provisional pole. Keeping an eye on Omama Wembanyama. Is he going to be able to improve enough to get past Buddha on the qualifying grid? And I don't think Mahasna... Actually, no, Mahasna was able to cross the line, so it looks like he is starting his lap as well. So Mahasna currently in 17th, unfortunately not able to put in that qualifying lap after invalidating. So Omama Wembanyama locking up a little bit there, and I wonder if that is going to affect his hot lap. He is up by 2/10, however. Ooh, a little bit wide, a little bit wiggly there on the exit. So the Alpine, and looks like Mahasna puts in a 1:32.6, so he is going to hold pole at the moment. But Omama Shan going around the final parts of Sector 3. Looks like he's going to go a little bit wide and is able to improve by 3/10, however, not enough to make a difference in the front row. But higher PM being a bit of a sneak and puts himself in 3rd. So really good qualifying session by these guys. Honestly, I really think Omama Shan had the potential to really eat up some more time, but unfortunately those little lockups, those little going wide, having a bit of an influence there, but still putting in a pretty decent qualifying session there. And yeah, it looks like Highest Low isn't going to be able to join into the session. Understandable. I know he had an appointment, so unfortunately not able to join on time. But hopefully next race he's able to. Alrighty. Okay, so that is going to be our starting grid. We do have Mahasne started on pole position, sharing the first row with him. We do have YSL Buddha as well in the Williams. From third, we have High RPM. In fourth, Omama Shan. Fifth, P Money. Sixth, Wilson Hues. Actually, I think this is the best qualifying session we've seen by him. In seventh, we have Atazel. Eighth, Cowboys for Life. Ninth, Bozo. 10th, Oliver. 11th, Vroom. 12th, Honeyburger. Hulkenbro. And 13th, Guardians. And 14th, Exist. 15, Eingo. 16, Untitled. 17, Kyle. 18. So, or maybe I can't. I counted wrong, I think. Oh boy, looks like it is going to be a raining race session. So I'm actually quite excited about this. I know a lot of the drivers, they hate it when it's raining, and I think one of them, who was it? Who was it? It was P Money who was suggesting having a bit of a custom weather on this season, saying that there wasn't enough rain last season. But look at that, the game said, there you have it. Alrighty, so I am going to have to take a quick look at the, let's see, at the tier 1 strategies. So everyone has access to this, so they can't say I'm spoiling anything. Alrighty, so it looks like it was raining a lot more harder in tier 1 on Saturday, so they did have to start on the wet tires. Looks like it's not going to be enough, and these drivers are going to be starting on the intermediates, and looks like someone did ready up. Alright. So they do have formation lap on. So they are getting sent off. Let's see. Alrighty, so yeah, we will confirm who readied up later on. We will be finding a way to identify that. Usually I already know who does later on. I'm doing my own proper investigation. But anyways, so it looks like all the drivers are going to be starting on the intermediate tires. As we like to remind the drivers, please be extra cautious in the first lap, especially that first corner. Make sure you brake on time. There are going to be drivers in front of the driver in front of you, so make sure you brake appropriately. Make sure you don't rear end them. And I can't even say that professionals don't do it, because we saw how it was in the in the last COTA race a couple weeks ago. That was horrendous between the two McLarens. Jeez. But anyways, the intermediates, if I'm not mistaken, we did see, I think it was Wingish who took them a little bit too further and actually had a punctures on those intermediates. So we all know how tire management has to be on this track. You have to be a master tire whisperer on this track. And just keeping an eye on the Discord chat. Looks like a little communication between Guardians and Hulkenbro, which looks like both of them have disqualified, but I think they're making a bit of jokes there on the Discord chat. Alrighty, so all the drivers are lining up. Ooh, Buddha! Putting a little bit too much, too much wheel spin on those tires, jeez. So he's lucky damage isn't on for formation laps. Alrighty, so all the drivers lining up. We do have Mahasne in the front. Will he be able to defend against Buddha and even the McLaren, high RPM there? So it looks like we're just waiting for the other McLaren to line up, and there we go. 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and off they go, and Omar Shan having a really good start right there. Looks like he is going to be going on the inside of high RPM. Buddha going on the inside of Mahazne. Mahazne going a little bit wide right there. Oh, going off the track, and looks like that is going to give Omar Mashan the opening to try to get the move done. And so Omar Mashan moving up position right there, looking at the position changes. We actually have Kyle, who within a one corner already up to P8, up 10 positions. I am curious to know what happened there. We do have yellow flags. That is Honeyburger and Cowboys for Life. A Tazzle picking up a 10-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags. Not exactly sure what's happening in the back. However, that battle in the front looking intense. Having a couple movements there. Buddha getting the lead from Mahazne. Omar Shan up those 2 positions. So it looks like it's not raining enough to really have an effect on the drivers. A lot of the drivers doing well to keep the car on the track, keep the car straight. And as I mentioned, at higher RPM, having a bit of a wheel spin right there, almost losing the car, but doing well to catch that. We do have a number of drivers less than a second behind each other, so still tailing on behind. I am curious to know if Cowboys for Life and Honeyburger had any damage. And looks like the Red Bull of Cowboys for Life missing his right end plate. And looks like the McLaren of Honeyburger missing his end plate as well. Alrighty, so Kyle in the Ferrari doing a phenomenal job in just one lap to climb 11 positions all the way from last, currently now in 7th. So he does have quite a number of drivers right in front of him as well. He is right on the tail of P Money, who is right on the back of Wilson Juez. And Buddha doing a phenomenal job to maintain a comfortable gap ahead of Omar Mashan, currently 1.8 seconds ahead. P Money, a little bit of a struggle there on the exit, but looks like he is currently defending the position. Kyle, is he going to make a move on the inside? No. However, he has to have really good traction here, and looks like he is going to put throttle and trying to get the move completed on P Money. Looks like he is going to be getting the move done up to P6. P Money looks like he's not going to defend or try attacking for that position back. So really good job by Kyle right there. I do want to mention, for those who, well, this is a little bit of a surprise, but for those who aren't in the Tier 1 chat, we did take into consideration one of the suggestions of our drivers regarding Driver of the Day. So we will be doing a tier vote. Admins and commentators, whoever we believe did a phenomenal job on this race, depending on racecraft, depending on consistency, comebacks. We will be placing 3 votes for the tier to cast their votes in for who they think deserve Driver of the Day. So, yeah, everyone, do your best, show your best performance, and we'll be trying to keep an eye on you guys, yeah? But anyways, looks like up in the front we do have Omar Mashan with Mahazne right on his tail. Buddha still increasing the gap, 2.5 seconds ahead. So everyone on equal strategies. We do have the retirement of Cowboys for Life, who, not sure what happened on that first lap, but retiring from the session. Although I always say keep your head down, because you never know if a safety car is going to come out. We did see one safety car in Tier 1 on Saturday. We have seen quite a few in the past as well. Oh, it looks like we do have a battle between Kyle and Wilson Quest. Kyle doing the overtake in the same area he overtook P Money as well. Wilson not able to defend or do anything against that, but does have quite a comfortable gap remaining ahead of P Money. Ooh, it looks like, oh, not EA giving me the cockpit view. Looks like Mahazan was trying to get the move done on Old Mama Shan, closing in quite a bit. Looks like Higher PM has a really good view between what's going on with these two. So Mahazan trying to go for that move. Buddha continuously increasing that gap. 4.2 seconds now of Old Mama Shan. However, I do think that battle between Mahazan and Shan is giving Buddha quite the advantage. Mahazan going a little bit wide right there. Looks like high RPM not able to do anything yet. I will say these guys have to take into account that they do have the Ferrari of Kyle, who is a man on a mission this race. And looks like Kyle has joined in the party, and ooh, it looks like we do have yellow flags. That is the cast of Eingel. Hopefully no retirement there. But we do have quite a number of penalties already. Guardians with 6 seconds of penalties. Atazal with the 10 seconds for ignoring yellow flags. And Eingel with 3 seconds now. So it looks like we are going to be having 2 battles here. We do have Mahazne with Sean, Kyle, and high RPM. The 4 of them remaining really close to each other. Alrighty, well, I am curious to know who is going to pull the trigger for the pits, or to change their tires. We do have Buddha, who just crossed the line, puts in the fastest lap at 148.5. For those who aren't aware, once the season starts, you do get an extra 2 points for the fastest lap. Please make sure you familiarize yourself with our point system. We do have points from first to last. So as long as you finish, I mean, that honestly makes the Constructors' Championship really, really close. So as long as you finish and you get those points, then you never know how it's going to play out in the standings in the championship. And looks like we do have Honeyburger having a bit of a spin right there, struggling a little bit, possibly with those tires and those conditions. Mahaznet now dropping down a couple positions, having dropped down 2. Looks like he may have lost a bit of control with the on the exit right there, but Kyle having a bit of a battle with higher PM. Higher PM on the inside. Both of them giving each other enough space. Kyle trying to hold the inside line, and looks like he is going to get the move done. Higher PM slotting right behind. So Kyle now up 15 positions, currently seeing a possible podium finish. However, it is early. I don't want to jinx anybody yet, but we do have Buddha, who keeps on putting fastest lap after lap with a really comfortable gap of 7.2 seconds ahead of the Alpine. And I did see yellow flags. I think that was the Mercedes of Exist dropping down a couple positions right there. But it does look like it's drying up a bit, so they didn't mention, our weatherman Guardians didn't mention if it was going to be a wet to dry race. However, of course, our view is very different from what the drivers are actually feeling on the track. So You never know exactly what their strategy call is going to be. However, it does look like it's going to be drying up soon. Looking a little bit, tad bit sunny as well. And we do have a couple of yellow flags right there. That is the Mercedes of Exist having another spin. So unfortunately struggling a little bit there, but so we do have Kyle now right on the back of Omar Mashan. Kyle, as I mentioned, man on the mission, trying to get the overtake done on the Alpine. I do wonder if anybody's going to decide to pit. But Exist now picking up a 3-second penalty. And as I mentioned pitting, looks like Omar Mashan is going to enter the pits. Looks like we already have a few drivers who are opting for the dry tire. So 2 medium runners, Room and Exist. We do have Oliver Monster who has picked up a 10-second penalty for cutting corner. So Omar Mashan opting for the medium tires. Higher PM and Mahazne going on the hard compounds. Most likely going to plan on taking those tires all the way to the end. Omar Mashan, I mean, I doubt those mediums will go all the way to the end. Unless you're a master tire whisperer, as we mentioned earlier. But Untitled pick up a 3-second penalty. P-Money in the V-car eyeing Wilson West, trying to get that move done. It looks like he is going on the inside. They do have the kick sauber of Bozo right behind them. And looks like Wilson West going a little bit wide right there. The kick sauber not able to use that to his advantage, but Wilson trying to get that position back. So going on the inside, and P-Money giving enough space right there. Oh, I think that was a little bit of contact between the two. Looks like Bozo was on the inside, a little bit of contact between those two, but Wilson West regaining that position. And we do have yellow flags in Sector 1. I do believe that is due to the McLaren of Honeyburger. Oh, and then and a number. So it's just raining penalties now. Yeah, so quite a number of whoa, and the P-Money. Wilson West, I think, was caught a little bit off guard with that pit entry. I will admit it's quite tricky if you don't slow the car down on time. Then you're going straight into that wall. But P-Money doing a really good job to brake right behind them. Alrighty, as we mentioned, a number of penalties. We do have Higher PM and Mahazne who both picked up 3 seconds of penalties. So their main contenders in the front were Kyle and Omar Mashan. Both of those two haven't had a penalty yet, so it is looking really strong for those two. We do have Wilson West who picked up a 3-second penalty as well. I am curious for the top 3. They have not chosen to change out of those tires. Bozo actually pitting and going out to a fresh set of intermediates. So I do wonder if that was just an error in forgetting to change the settings, or just maybe they know something that we don't know. Maybe it's going to rain soon. But P-Money going a bit wide right there, and Bozo taking that position there. So it looks like we do have a couple of gaps. Mahazne now picking up another 3 seconds. So that's 6 seconds for the Haas of Mahazne. And Bozo looking to gain another position. Looks like Wilson West losing the car there on the exit, dropping down to 7th now, losing the position to Bozo and P-Money. And as I mentioned, it keeps on raining penalties. Guardians another 3 seconds, but we do have our 2 front runners who have chosen to pit. Buddha opting for the hard compounds. Kyle with the mediums. Oh, locking the rears up a little bit there and almost doing a little bit of a skirt, as J-Dog likes to say. Jeez. Oh no, Buddha now picking up a 3-second penalty. So he does have quite a comfortable gap ahead of Kyle. Hulkenbro definitely has to pit again. So, ooh, Kyle. I don't think Kyle's too happy with those tires right now coming out of the pits. Jeez. Alrighty, that is another yellow flags. That is the McLaren of Honeyberger, who is struggling to get that car straight. So I think, or he's just trying to do some Tokyo drift. Jeez. Ay, ay, ay. I have been in that position before. Alrighty, and more penalties coming down. Entitled another 3 seconds. We'll just keep that there for now. And so Kyle, 6.8 seconds behind Buddha, who currently has a 3-second penalty. Of course, there is plenty of race left. You never know what can happen. A safety car might come out. But let's see, we do have Kyle right on the back of Hulkenbro, who does have those intermediate tires on. So he is going to be much slower than Kyle there, and Kyle, a little bit of a contact between those two. So I know it's probably frustrating for Kyle to try getting that pass done. Oh, Kyle picking up a 3-second penalty. I can see what Hulkenbro's possibly trying to do. You never know if as I mentioned, you never know if a safety car will come out. So it might have been a little bit of a gamble to see what would happen, especially considering how many yellow flags we have been seeing. But Kyle right on the back of... Ooh, that is the... What was that? I think that was the Hasselbango. Jeez. But Kyle getting the move done on Hulkenbro, which honestly expected. Hulkenbro with the 9-lap-old intermediates. We did have Oliver Munster, who has retired in the pit lane. And oh no, Kyle putting in a little bit too much throttle right there, and unfortunately it's just Tokyo drift all around. Jeez. Yeah, Kyle unfortunately losing the car there on the exit and losing quite a bit of time. Luckily not positioned. However, he does have Omar Machan right behind him now. However, Kyle does have 2-lap younger tires compared to Omar Machan. That has extended the gap behind of Buddha. And it looks like we do have Wilson West, who has put in the fastest lap at the moment at 144.9. And it looks like DRS is enabled. So Hulkenbro wasn't a bad idea. However, obviously the FIA, they have decided, or the marshals, whatever, they have decided that DRS is dry enough for DRS to be activated. So definitely has to start deciding to switch over to those slicks. It's like Kyle getting that position back, having gotten the move done on Hulkenbro. Omar Machan looking to make the move as well, getting the move done on the Williams. So putting himself in third now. And so Omar Machan, if he's able to keep the pace, able to keep it consistent all the way to the end. Oh, Kyle still losing the car and pretty almost in the same corner as before. dropping down a position. So Omar Mashan moving up to second now. I was gonna say, as long as the Alpine of Omar Mashan stays right behind of Kyle, he probably secure a P2, considering Kyle does have that penalty. But Omar Mashan just doing well to keep the car on the track. See, Buddha now 16 seconds ahead of P2 at the moment. We do have higher PM getting the move done on Hulkenberg, who is going to be going into the pits, it seems. Has to make sure to stop the car perfectly. There you go. Alrighty, so we do have quite a bit of a gap between all the drivers. Looking back at the position changes, so Kyle, highest overtakes done in this race, 14 overtakes done. Unfortunately, as I'm talking about him, picks up another 3-second penalty, so that is 6 seconds for him. Second highest of overtakes, untitled, up 4 positions, and third highest Vroom, up 3 positions. So quite a number of changes happening in this race. Oh, we do have Guardians, who has chosen to pit in the pit lane. Hulkenberg picking up another 3-second penalty. You know what? I will say, if you don't pick up a penalty, you will be considered for driver of the day, in my opinion, on this track. Because my God, this whole grid has received the Oprah treatment. You get a penalty. You get a penalty. Alrighty, but we do have a gap closing in between P Money and Kyle. So Kyle doing a phenomenal job to not give up, still doing well to really keep the pace despite those mishaps. And oh my God, Kyle sending it a little bit. It looks like he wasn't able to break enough into that first corner, and a bit of contact between him and the V carb. I don't think P Money received any damage from that. Looks like both his end plates are still intact. And Mahasna picking up a fastest lap, 142.9. I do want to mention, if I'm not mistaken, Kyle is using this season to race without the racing line. So, first of all, big respects to him. Second of all, I'm pretty sure we're going to be seeing more improvement by him in terms of him learning the braking points. Well, Exist picking up a 10-second penalty, 19 seconds now in total. We do have Kyle trying to get the move done on P Money, and looks like P Money possibly was trying to look for that switchback, not able to do anything there. So Kyle up to third now. P Money in a really good position, I think, in my opinion, with the hard compounds. Kyle with the mediums. There are 14. Actually, we're halfway through the race, so there are still plenty of laps remaining, and I don't think those mediums are really going to go all the way. But quite a number of yellow flags. We do have in sector 3, that is the McLaren of Honeyburger. There in sector 1, we have Exist in the Mercedes. So as we like to mention, this group, we do have quite a number of drivers learning the no traction controls. So lots of these drivers looking to improve. Hulkenberg was honestly, as I always like to mention, one of our biggest improvements in this league in terms of drivers who decided to wean off the traction controls. So yeah, it just takes practice. It just takes practice. P Money picking up a 3-second penalty. Kyle, as I was speaking about Hulkenberg, picks up another 3 seconds. So that is 9 seconds for Kyle. And man, these penalties are just they're getting thrown at them. Oh my God. Yeah, I will say if Omar Shan doesn't pick up a penalty, I will be highly, highly impressed. And oh, oh boy, what a catch! What a catch by Omar Shan. Just commentators cursing everybody. My goodness. So Omar Shan losing the car a little bit right there, but doing a good job to catch the car. Does have Kyle now right behind him. If I were Omar Shan, I wouldn't pick up much of a battle with Kyle, especially considering how many penalties he has. But if you like a little bit of wheel-to-wheel racing, then. But oh, Kyle's going a little bit wide right there, and looks like Sean able to go for the switchback, gets the move done, keeps the position. So it looks like our biggest battle is between second, third, and fourth. Kyle right behind Mama Shan, trying to get the move. Ooh, a little bit of contact right there between the two. And is P Money going to take advantage of that? Unfortunately, not close enough to make a move. We do have a DRS enabled. However, it looks like neither of them are close enough to make any overtake done. And Guardians on the Discord chat giving a little bit of a gif of ice skating. So I'm assuming that's how he felt in this race, considering how I'm actually seeing everybody ice skate. Alrighty, but Kyle still on the back of the Alpine. Does have P Money right behind him. I will say P Money, this man was complaining about him being a this guy about him being a backmarker and getting lapped, and he's holding P4 at the moment. So honestly, P Money, I think you're just kind of being sneaky with us, showing how much improvement you've had this race or this for this season, I guess. But oh no, oh Mama Sean pick up a 3-second penalty now, and so the top 8 with penalties. And you know what? Vroom is the only driver who has not picked up a penalty, and I think that's the most impressive. Jeez. Alrighty, we do have Kyle still tailing right behind of the Alpine. Does have the flap open, however, not close enough to make a move. Do have higher PM, who, with the help of the DRS, has gotten the move done on Wilson Quest. But I will say, without all those penalties, they've done a phenomenal job to still keep the grace clean. 15 overtakes for Kyle. Honestly, really impressive. We've seen him do it before, especially last season in Silverstone. So was expected to see him climb up the grid. Kyle trying to get the overtake done. Oh, Mama Shan drifting a little bit towards the inside. A little bit of contact between those two. However, Kyle getting the overtake done, putting himself in second. We do have P Money, who is still tailing right behind the two. Does have hard compounds on at the moment. The two in front of him with the mediums. Mahasne putting in the fastest lap. Looks like Vroom has chosen to pit. Had gone through 10 laps on those mediums. So we do have the kick sabber of Bozo right on the tail of Wilson Quest as well. Does have the flap open. Looks like he is going to get the overtake done. Wilson actually missing his left end plate, so I do wonder what happened there. Didn't see that earlier, but unfortunately, looks like that isn't going to help him, especially in that sector 1 where you really need that downforce to turn the car. So Wilson West losing that position to Bozo. Bozo up to 6th now. And I do see that we have a couple of fans cheering for a few drivers as well. Mauro Luna cheering on for Angel, so he is honestly doing a really good job in terms of keeping the car on the track and trying to get that car to cross the line. Up ahead, Kyle pushing Omar Mashan out of the DRS, now over a second ahead of the Alpine. P-Money still holding on right behind of Omar Mashan, a little bit slow there on the S's, but oh no, Mama Wembanyama picking up another 3-second penalty, so that is 6 seconds for him. So P-Money can definitely try battling for that podium finish right there. And he does have Kyle, who has 3 more seconds more of a penalty than he does, so he could definitely even possibly look for a P2. So just has to keep it clean, just has to keep it close to them. That honestly looked like a little bit of a corner cut, but I don't know what notifications they got. But Buddha crossing the line, 139.5, fastest lap at the moment. And now Kyle picking up another 3 seconds. So that is 12 seconds for Kyle, and that can definitely help P-Money in getting a podium finish there. We do have Omar Mashan, who has chosen to go into the pits, getting rid of those medium tires. High RPM stealing the fastest lap at 139.0. So Omar Mashan opting for a fresh set of mediums. We do have less than 10 laps remaining. So definitely those softs wouldn't have gone towards the end. Mahasna stealing the fastest lap from his brother right there. Alrighty, so P-Money does have the clean air right in front of him, doesn't have a driver in his way. Does have Kyle with 6 seconds of penalties in front of him. And as I mentioned, he did have quite the tired advantage. Honestly, the one stop would probably be what I'd recommend on this track. Of course, depending on the weather conditions. Oh, P-Money having a bit of a wheel spin right there, but keeping the car straight. Doesn't lose enough, or doesn't lose a lot of time behind of Kyle. So it looks like we have quite the gap between all the drivers. Do have 8 laps remaining. Vroom still being the only driver with no penalty. So if I were Vroom, I'd actually be praying for a safety car. Because once you bundle all those drivers up together, if you cross the line and you're close enough between all those penalties, you could gain quite a number of positions. So we have a couple of drivers. Actually, no, it looks like Kyle has chosen to pit, as well as I believe that is the V-Carb of Untitled right behind him. So Kyle, who struggled a little bit with the fresh set of mediums, having pit a couple laps ago, hopefully doesn't experience the same again. But Kyle now in 6th at the moment, does have Omar Mashan 1.3 seconds ahead of him. We'll be keeping We'll be keeping an eye out between the gap that Omar Mashan has on, sorry, Bozo has on Omar Mashan. It will be interesting to see the difference between the 9-lap-old mediums and Omar Mashan's fresh mediums. We do have yellow flags. I think that is the Ferrari of Atazel. Possibly struggling a little bit with those 6-lap-old softs. But yeah, this looked like the one stopper was probably the best choice. YSL Buddha having on intermediate straight to the hard compounds, holding quite a bit of a gap, 31 seconds ahead of P Money now. So it looks like our main battle is going to be between Kyle and Omar Mashan. However, Omar Mashan is catching up quite a bit to Bozo, who, as we mentioned earlier, did have over 5 seconds ahead of the Alpine. However, has Sean has eaten up quite a bit of that time, 2.5 seconds. So he is putting some heat on those tires, and he does have the kick sour in his view. Looks like he is going to be having the Ferrari of Kyle right behind him. Kyle is going to have the DRS on the Alpine. It looks like he is going to get the overtake done. So as I mentioned, if I were Sean, I'd probably just stay close right behind of Kyle, who does have double the penalties on him. And speaking of penalties, Hulkenberg with 6 seconds of penalties, Vroom within those penalties, that penalty gap. So Vroom possibly looking for a P9 up ahead. Say Bozo going into the pit lane and Kyle getting the overtake done. I'm just now noticing, no wonder why it's throwing me off a little bit. So the game doesn't really tell you when the drivers are pitting. I'm wondering here why, actually there we go. Like it just depends on the setting. It's been a month, eh? Since we've been back onto the track. Alrighty, so Bozo going for a fresh set of mediums. And we do have Untitled picking up a 3-second penalty. Kyle picking up the pace and trying to extend that gap ahead of Omar Mashan. Does have 1 lap younger tires, however, doing really, really well and pushing Omar Mashan out of the DRS now. And looking at the delta between Vroom and Hulkenberg, Vroom closing in as well, now 1.9 seconds behind of Hulkenberg. And Vroom still holding on to the only driver with no penalties. Omar Mashan now pick up another 3-second penalty. So that is 9 seconds for the Alpine. Kyle with 3 seconds more ahead of him. So Omar Mashan definitely has to make sure he doesn't lose that time to the Ferrari right in front of him. It does seem like we do have a yellow flags. Looks like that may have just been the McLaren of Honeyberger. And another one in Sector 1 seems to be might be the Alpine of Omar Mashan, who actually has dropped down So now outside of the penalty gap from Kyle, so 3.9 seconds behind now. Now over 4 seconds behind of Kyle. So Kyle trying to get close to the McLaren of higher RPM. Still keeping a really good pace, I will say. We do have less than 5 laps remaining. Buddha, who has been leading the race pretty much from start to finish, looks like, with a 35-second gap ahead of the V-Car for free money. Looks like high RPM is trying to gain on P money. Kyle closing in, now less than a second behind of the McLaren. Looks like we also do have Bozo right on the back of Mahazne. Mahazne looks like he's going to be losing that position. Bozo with the DRS, with the battery. Trying to go for the inside move. And Mahazne, oh, a bit of contact between those two. Not exactly sure if Mahazne turned too early or if Bozo overshot it a little bit difficult with these ZA views, but Bozo now up to 6. And we do have a Ferrari of Kyle getting the move done on McLaren of high RPM. Up to 3rd now, however, he does have 9 more seconds of penalties compared to high RPM. Looks like Bozo has increased the gap ahead of Mahazna as well. So yeah, so Mahazna with 16 lap old mediums trying to defend between the kick Sauber with the 2 lap old mediums. So yeah, Bozo doing really well to get the overtake done there. Kyle right on the tail of P Money now. And oh no, P Money actually, where'd he go? P Money almost losing the car there, but catching it quite well to still remain behind of Kyle and ahead of higher PM. So Kyle, even with a few setbacks in this race, has honestly done really well to really keep a good pace. And oh, P Money now picking up another 3 seconds, so that is 9 seconds for the V carb. And so higher PM with only 3 seconds, and looks like the Haas of Mahazna retiring in the pit lane. And so yeah, higher PM possibly looking for a podium finish here, possibly a P2. And Kyle picking up another 3 seconds penalty. That is 15 seconds for the Ferrari. And if I'm not mistaken, Kyle in his first season had, I think his highest number of penalties was 21, if I'm not mistaken. He'll have to correct me afterwards. We used to always joke about it and call him a bit of a penalty merchant when it comes to on-track penalties. So it looks like that season 1 Kyle has returned. No, he's doing a really good job either way. So honestly, a little bit of a taste to see, a taste of pace. And honestly, trying to see how all the drivers are going to do in the rest of the season. Looks like we've had a lot of improvements. Wilson Juez in the Aston Martin in 7th at the moment. I think as we mentioned earlier, last season, I think he had it for his first time, had finished in the top 10. So yeah, looks like he did put enough practice, did put in a lot of time for this track. So we do have Vroom, who is now closing in on the back of the Williams. So Vroom getting the position up to 8th now. So all of them were trying to defend enough, but unfortunately not enough. And I did notice that he is missing his left end plate, so Curious to know what exactly happened that caused him to lose a piece of the car, but still doing a phenomenal job to stay in the top 10. We do have 3 laps remaining, and Buddha still doing an incredible job remaining ahead. And looks like the Williams of Hulkenberg going into the pits and most likely trying to change that wing. Uh, so with 2 laps remaining, honestly, driver of the day, I will probably put my first vote of Kyle having gained 16 positions. Obviously, he might lose a couple positions. You never know. Anything could happen on these final laps. Especially with those penalties, 15 seconds of penalties, but honestly, everybody else has received the penalty, so um, so I wouldn't even use that to count him out. But yeah, Kyle will probably be one of my driver of the days. If Vroom keeps it like this, keeps it without a penalty, the only driver without a penalty, I'd probably say he'd be my second vote. So that's 2 drivers right there. I gotta choose a third one now. And if anybody else has suggestions on the live chat, I'm always welcome to hearing as well. Uh, Finally, I get this view, this beautiful helicopter view in the S's, but unfortunately not during a battle. And the McLaren of high RPM getting the move done on P Money there. High RPM does have only 3 seconds of penalty, so that probably won't affect anything. I believe we do have Buddha, who has just started the final lap, has been leading the race from start to finish. Comfortable gap, over 30 seconds ahead of Kyle. As I mentioned, like in the beginning of this stream, Buddha is honestly a driver to watch this season. I really think he'll probably be in the battle for the championship between him, Mahasne, Higher PM, Kyle. Kyle doesn't pick up a lot of penalties. Alrighty, but I will say it has been a really good preseason race. Nice little view of what is expected for the rest of the season. Ooh, Hulkenbro now picking up another 3-second penalty right there. Honeyberger retiring in the pit lane. So we do have Buddha just now starting sector 3. So we have quite a number of gaps between all the drivers. Buddha giving a bit of a wiggle, a celebratory wiggle. And so Buddha crossing the line wins the preseason race with a very amazing gap, 28.8 seconds ahead of Kyle. And we do have Kyle now crossing the line for second. However, he does have higher PM right behind him, who is going to be stealing that second place. P Money, who I think is going to be close enough to... Actually, no, wasn't able to close the gap enough to steal the position from Kyle. So P Money with no podium, not 0.9 seconds behind of the Ferrari. It looks like we have a couple of position changes happening as well. Vroom gaining 2 positions, I believe that was. In PA, our only driver who has not picked up a penalty. Phenomenal drive by the Red Bull of Vroom. I always like to hype up Vroom because I've been racing with him for years, and this guy is always calm and collected. I will say that. Ay, ay, ay. And Wilson West with the fastest lap of 135.3. So Wilson West, who showed up this season, looks like he put in hours of practice, and the guy who only finished top 10 once in the last season, now in seventh, um, and with the fastest lap. But really good race by these drivers. EA also acknowledging Kyle as driver of the day. Most overtakes by Kyle as well. Wilson West, fastest lap. Going over the final grid, we have Buddha for the win here for the preseason in Austin, Texas. Sharing the podium with him is going to be Higher PM in the McLaren, Kyle in the Ferrari. So that is our podium finish right there. From P4th all the way to the end, we have P Money, Omar Mashan in 5th, Bozo TM, our rookie on his debut here for our league, finishing in 6th after gaining 3 positions. Wilson West in 7th with the fastest lap of 135.3. P8 Vroom, Hulkenbro in 9th, Atazel in 10th, also a rookie debut here. Untitled in 11th, Exist 12th, Eingel 13th, Honeyburger 14th, and our 4 DNFs, Mahaznet, Guardians Oliver, and Cowboys for Life. So that was our race, and as I mentioned, personally, I think it was a phenomenal race. Lots of battles, lots of penalties. I will say our first race of the season was a really good test, really good taste of what we're going to be seeing for the rest of the races. We will be racing for our round 1 in Brazil next week, so stay tuned for that. Make sure you give us a subscribe, get those notifications when we're live. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the season. And hopefully a couple of the drivers who weren't able to make it today, I think one of them was highest low. I believe who was the other one? Turbo, who wasn't here today. We also have another rookie, ERA rookie, a gambler in the Ferrari, Kyle's teammate, not able here to be here today. Hopefully they can join next week, and yeah, we're definitely looking forward to the rest of the season. We do have our No Assist Division 1 group racing in about an hour and 10 minutes. So stay tuned for that. Unfortunately, our Turtle Commander 7, our division admin, is sick, so it will just be me in the comms booth. But we are definitely looking forward to that race. Talented drivers who race with no assist whatsoever. And these guys as well, here in Tier 2, who don't race with traction control, only race with ABS, corner line, and automatic gears. Everything else off, so lots of talented drivers. But yeah, we're looking forward to that, and everybody stay tuned for the next race. We also have our Gnosis Division 2 group on Wednesday, so 2 more races for this race week, and after that we start all over again for the next one. But yeah, everybody stay tuned, make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys later.